Let's see how many of us are available yet. We want to really talk about the D5 Evo. And okay, please just let me know where you are actually reaching us from, where you're watching from. Let me see. Right. Okay. Can begin to drop your comment where you're watching us from. Okay. Okay, we have one person. Before we go further, I think okay, we have two of them. Okay, please let's know where you're watching from. So today we want to talk about the installation of the D5 Evo. Now I have come to understand that so many of us, okay, okay, Kenya, Jealous Fencing Services, Kenya, Edu Mesunya, Cape Town, and then Adepoju, Lagos. Okay, that's fine. All right. So, what we actually want to talk about today is installing the D5 Evo. There are a couple of things you should be aware of before going about your installation. One, right, you need to understand that before installing your operator, one thing you must always look out for is to check for do a site inspection to understand how your maybe the existing gate, right? If you're having an existing gate, the length of the gate, you need to consider that. Then the movement of that gate, you need to consider it to know how free it is. Because if those are not considered, then at the end of the day, you might be having some challenges. Now, I've seen some persons, they say, they check the gate. I said the gate is hard to push. Instead of using the D5 Evo, let's go for a bigger operator. No, that is not how your gate automations are done. You must make sure you sort out those challenges with the gate. If your gate, for example, you are having friction while pushing or pulling your gate, please work on the gate. If there is need for you to get, because most times here in Nigeria, there are some gates you might get to most times not well installed. It might be that the rail on the ground, we're not having that smooth movement on the ground. Okay, so but there are things we need to do. There's this rod we most times we use for gates. It's a kind of most times they are smooth. It's either a stainless steel or you're using maybe the normal, maybe the iron circular rod. It's a smooth rod. Most times, for example, you're having the angle iron on the gate. Let's assume this is an angle iron. Then we take this one, we weld it just on it. It goes all the way on the rail of the gate, the one on the ground, all to the end. At the end of the day, that helps reduces friction. You see the motion it begins to move smoothly. And there are sometimes you might need to just totally remove the wheel of your gate, change the wheel, go for a better wheel. A better wheel will help sort that. And sometimes some gates are slopey. There was one I actually experienced some years back. I got to the gate. You push the gate to one end, it gets to the end. By the time you leave it, it starts traveling the other way. And that very place, there was somebody who went to do an installation, went to carry out an installation there. And when he installed the gate, he was having issue programming it. And the people said they were not going to allow that guy leave the site until they get a solution because they paid him. So that was where I was actually contacted. I'm talking about like 12 years ago. Maybe I got there, I saw the gate. It was slopey. You just draw to this side. Difficult climbing here. When it's returning this way, it runs down. And I told them we need to eliminate this. All we had to do was to totally remove the rail from the ground to balance it. So before installing your gate, make sure you have your rail installed on a smooth level. The level is so important. Make sure its level is straight, not where you have a slope. So that's another factor to consider. Then you should also check installing the gate. As what we call the roller guides. I don't know if you can actually see this. Assume this is your gate, all right? Maybe you have the pillar here. Maybe this is the gate closes. Gate closes this direction, and maybe there's a pillar here. The closed pillar. You have the catcher that catches the gate here. Then there's this kind of roller guide you have here. Yes, always here most times. This ensure that you don't have much space at the top. So against anti-lift, nobody is able to lift your gates off the ground. All right. So these are some of the things you must take note of. So, but if you have all these things checked, and you can tick them to say yes, good, good, good. You have a smooth moving gate. Then I think the next stage you'll be looking at is bringing your operator and programming your operator. But if these are not done, please don't even bother to even install the gate. If there are questions you need to ask, you can continue to ask so that I can also sort those things. So that if there are other things, so these are most of the checks. You then also make sure your guide. There's always a guide here, like a catcher that catches the gate, and most times the top you have an anti-lift here, so no one is able to lift the gate even if your operator is installed. So these are some of the things you must consider before installing a gate. Okay, this operator right here is a D5 operator. I'm just going to be brief. We're going to be talking so that if there are questions, it's easier for me, because this is not going to be so much where we need to go deep, but we need to talk about most of the challenges you're having. Even if you've tried, you say you want to start, because you must start off from somewhere. So before installing this, one thing you should check out for, I've been to a site. Let's assume this is the fence. You have fence here, okay. Now this gate is actually opening to this direction. Let's say this is the ground. This is a pillar. And somebody wanted to, they said they want to automate this gate, right? Okay. And what they did was, instead of them bringing the source, power source, okay. What's your name? Okay, hello, what's your name, bro? My name is Daniel, all right? Okay, so instead of them bringing the source of power, because your operator, most time, if you have your gate here, your operator needs to be in this position, this very position here. This is your pillar, so that the pillar itself will help secure the machine from maybe vehicles coming in. So if this like this thing is still behind the pillar here, it's safe here. But now when they wanted to bring power source, they drew the power source and the guy brought it here. They put the power source here. Let's say live and neutral. So it is only when you slide this gate open that this part gets to this level, right? Let's assume this is the gate. When the gate is slided open, it gets to this level. So as if that is where you have, so that is wrong. So you must take note of this, that you don't do this. And also I've noticed something. Some persons, I've seen issues where by the time they want to install this operator, most persons, there's one mistake most of them make. What they do is, because they don't understand this rack for your machine can actually be installed either like this. This is, can you see the pinion? This is the pinion. Either face down, or this other way, with the pinion, with the mesh of the teeth facing up like this, right? But most installers, because they are not well trained, what they do most times, by the time they notice some gates are low, they are very the frame, because you have your pedestrian. If you don't consider your pedestrian most times, by the time you say you want to use the same level, at the end of the day, they notice the rack starts disrupting the opening of the pedestrian. So by the time it's high from the frame of the gate, this one gets to a level from the ground. Let's assume, let me draw something here. Let's assume this is our gate. All right. We have a frame here. This is the frame of the gate. Okay, pedestrian is here. Pedestrian gate starts from here. Let's assume this is where we have pedestrian. All right, let's see, this is the pedestrian. Okay, by the time they fix this rack this way, right? Okay, this way. Let's assume this rack is fixed this way. They notice that if they raise it much, it gets to a level where it does not allow this pedestrian to open. All right. What they now do, they tend to push the base plates of this operator deep down to the ground, almost submerging this to the ground, where so that, because at the end of the day, when you do that, by the time there is flood, when it's rainy season, for example, because this part, this is where you have your gearbox. This area is where you have your gearbox. If you push this one deep to the ground, just for the sake of getting the rack getting to the point where it can actually slide from the top, so that this part does not disturb the pedestrian, then you cause something. When it's rainy season, flood starts getting into this operator, right? Let me show you. You see this area, this is, okay, let's assume this is the door, all right? You see, by the time this part is installed and is too low to the ground, you now have this section almost like this in the ground around, you have the space around it. If there is flood, water keeps penetrating this place and it gets into the gearbox. Before you know, there's a device here, like the dust that is connected to the dust. The dust is to calculate the movement of this gate. So it's a kind of a sensor anyway. By the time water gets to that level, it gets to the gearbox. Before you know, this operator stops working. All right? The operator stops working. So that is why you must ensure, if you get to a position, a site where maybe your rack, by the time you're trying to install this way so that it flushes with the level of the ground, you notice that this part will be disturbing the pedestrian. All you need to do is to elevate your plate from the ground, the base plate. I don't know if I can you pardon me, let me get a base plate, let me show you what that actually looks like. Just a moment, please, just a second. Apologies. All right. So this is what your base plate looks like. This is the base plate. This operator actually sits on this. So you have this. These are the parts that go deep to the ground. Most times you have bolt that comes in from here. The bolt is not here. I'm sorry, I didn't get that. But the bolt comes this way, facing up 1, 2, 3. So this part of the base plate on a normal day, if the floor is maybe it's fine, you notice this part goes to the ground. Let's assume this level is it. Then you get it, you have it like this. So if it's going to work like this at this level, where you fix your rack on this and it doesn't affect the base plate, then you can leave it out. But if you know it's going to be affecting your base plate, please don't bury this one. This one, this is the ground level. Don't bury this one to the ground, just to make a maybe space for this one, for the pedestrian to move smoothly. No, don't do that. All you need to do, raise this one up, let it be off the ground. All right. If this is off the ground, it will lift this pinion, or it will lift the operator up. So this pinion will be off the ground. So at the end of the day, what you now need to calculate is this level, look at this, please. This one is a bit heavy, right? Let's see this. Okay, I think I can see this now. Right. Okay, now when you lift that thing up, this one goes up from the ground, is elevated from this ground level. At the end of the day, it matches with the frame of the gate, where you don't have it either affecting the pedestrian, but at this moment, your rack would not be facing up. You now have your rack facing up, to the left, to the right, all the way. So instead of having it down, so please take note, if you are among those installers that are always doing that, please desist from it. When your floor becomes, just turn it the other way. So let's go into this proper right now. Now, installing this, imagine your base plate has been fixed. This section, this is where this part, see there are two sections, you see this part? And this part is always the part facing your gate. Let's assume our gate is here. This is the pillar. If I want to install this, I take this, and this part, this section must face the gate. Don't do it this way. This part must face the gate or face the pillar. Alright? So this facing the pillar, you have that there. Mate is mounted, it is it's been welded. The next, okay, welded down something, okay. The mate is welded. The next thing is to bring this guy in. Your cable gland, this is your cable gland where your cable goes into the machine, so you have space here. Okay, for the purpose of this this class, I had to, on a normal day, a Centurion operator comes with a 12 volts, 7.2 amps battery or 7 amp battery. But what I have here is a 5 amps battery. I just improvise just for the sake of this class. All right. Just for the sake of this class. So immediately this part is sorted, because this is where most of the job is. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Sunlight survey, right? Okay. Now you should understand that immediately you're able to do the first part, which is the inspection part of the gate. The other part becomes so easy, but if you don't get that part right, you don't get this main part we talked about, this area first, then you'll be having issues when it comes to your installation. We've seen most times you install a gate, you're trying to program, you're having challenges programming. The machine is just hitting each end, trying to pick, but because of the force the machine is trying to pull for it, you notice you're not getting any headway. So you must make sure those parts are sorted. Then when it comes to it, all you need to do is either your rack is face down or face up. Let's assume we install a rack face down. Now for this operator, let me show you one thing you should know. Somebody called me on Sunday, was asking me he had a challenge with this gate operator, and I think he couldn't even put it on manual. So you see, this thumb wheel is to actually put your operator either to automatic or the manual. Alright. If you turn it clockwise, it means you are pushing it to manual. And by the time you're pushing clockwise, you see it's as if the wheel is getting tighter. Yes, it's right. Sometimes some people make mistakes. But it's getting tight. How would this one this gate? Yes, that's how it is. If you're closing it, you turning it clockwise. All right. By the time you turn it clockwise, it will free this pinion. Okay, it's still hard. Yes, when it gets tight, you see. Let me show you something. Let me take this one off this part first, so we'll have space to play with. Okay, this is a brass rack, and this is a steel rack. Most times you use this one. Some persons say, why are we using this one? Why are we using this one for gates? It's a kind of a plastic or the kind of material instead of this. But there are some gates, when you're dealing with a sectional gate, that's when you know these ones are very useful. All right. So hope you guys can see this. I'm trying to. Okay, you notice this part is sliding, right? It's sliding now because I have turned the thumb wheel in the clockwise direction to tighten it this way. Let me push it this way more. Let's see how it goes. The door is not allowing. It's not allowing you to see the main thing. I don't know how I'll get this. These are the challenges I'm having because it's a live video and turning the camera here and there. That's why most time physical. Okay, yes, we can see. How are you seeing it? Okay, now, imagine you have this here. There's a thumb wheel here, the thumb wheel on this other side. All right. If I turn this thing anti-clockwise, reverse of a clock, the reverse part of a clock, direction of the clock. Now, apologies. There was actually a call coming in. That was what actually, apologies. I just had to drop the call. All right. Now, you see this part is stopped. I turned it anti-clockwise. So if I turn the clockwise direction, right? Just watch, I turn the clockwise direction. Notice, okay, see, now it's on manual. So maybe this is achieved, then it means we will understand how this part works. So the next thing we should be looking at is the other things I need to consider. I may not need to talk, it's just about the installation proper. Okay, now maybe this is done. Let's go to the board. Once this operator has been mounted here, all right, let's assume we have a rack here on the gate. So we have this operator here. Let me assume this is the operator's mesh. The operator is here, and this one is meshing on this one, right? The next thing, if you're done fixing this, is to push your gate to see. You notice you don't have this kind of maybe jump where it jumps. If you're having jumps maybe on maybe not a smooth movement, you might be having challenges when you try to program. So you must make sure those stuff are eliminated. Then if that is done, then the next thing is to program this gate. I don't know if we can actually, how we can see this part of the operator. How do we do that? I don't know. Suggestions. Are there suggestions? So I put this on, and I don't know how we can actually see the top of this. Okay, another thing you should take note of. This for example, is a stopper. This is a stopper. To look at the head of this stuff, right? There's actually, you see an arrow with a kind of dot. That arrow signifies the part facing the gate. That's it. You can see it. That's the arrow facing down, facing the gate. You must ensure this is fixed this way. If you fix it the wrong way, your gate would not sense, because this is a sensor that works with the doors. It sends signal to this guy. So you must put it such that this part is facing your operator. This is it. When this rack is installed, right? See, this part, see, is facing it. Must face this guy. And when it crosses, you hear this sound. Listen. I don't know if you can hear. It's making a clicking sound. It's clicking like bah, bah, bah. Maybe it passes. So you must ensure this while you're fixing this, so that by the time this is sliding, it touches, it gets contact with this. It's not going to touch. It's just there's a space. It's a magnetic field kind of. When it passes it, you must hear that sound. If you don't hear that sound, then your installation is going to be faulty. You'll be having issues. So you must ensure this thing clicks. But scenarios where you have this rack facing the top, all you need to do, even anywhere fixing this, wherever you want to fix this, is always somewhere. Maybe if the gate is closed, for example, measure minimum, for example, measure just 1 meter from here. If the gate is closed, measure 1 meter on your rack. From here, this is your rack, for example. Just measure 1 meter, not less than, let's say, not less than 500, half of a meter. But most times I just advise you use 1 meter. And from here, measure 1 meter here, and you mount this with that part facing the machine. So if that is done, but if this rack is turned upside down, it means this will be attached to the gate. But you must look for a level where it flushes with this, a level, and must get to look at the space between both of them. See, okay, see. Are you seeing the space? Let me do it this way. All right. See, this. You see, this is about how many? This is like 1 cm from it. So ensure this space. So if you're fixing it even to the gate, make sure you create space for this, so that at the minimum, let's say 1 cm or anything closer, but it must not touch S. The cover of this will not allow it to move. So these are the things you must take note of while installing this. But if it's upside down, This will fix to the body of the gate. You can just get a metal attached to the gate and come where to this, just measure this length, but make sure you have this clearance. You see the little clearance, so this can slide and actually send signal to this. Then the other part is programming this, but I don't know how we can go about this. How would you see the screen? Are there suggestions on things we need to do, how we can actually see this screen? I don't know how we go about this, but maybe this part is done. This part is almost like, should I say, a walkthrough, but the main part of it is this. But if you're dealing with the if it's for the smart series, there's actually what's the name, a simulated demo mode, simulated type, that you can go through. And if you want that, you can just drop that. I can drop you how you get that. All you need to do is just to go to your Play Store, download My Senses Pro. That's for the smart series of all operators. How you program. The programming is straightforward. The main part is making sure these areas, they are sorted. If this area is sorted, then we might not be having issues with programming. So for the programming, even if it's putting a code through, right? I know most of you know the way to reach me. Can assist you with that. But the main part is, if this is sorted, then I think every other thing is almost like a walkthrough. This is actually it's not on yet. I'm trying to put it down. Okay. Okay, it's actually on, but I don't know how you see the screen. How do we all see it? Are there suggestions? Do I take the camera and maybe turn it this way? Do I? If you want me to do that, then I'll do that. Suggestions, do I? Or the quality of it? Do I take the camera off the stand and put it here so you can, if you can see the screen? Okay. So yes, let's just try. Let's see. Sorry. One more. No, don't rotate, no. I don't want to rotate it. Saying no rotation. Can we even see the screen? Man, it's gonna be a bit difficult. Wow, man, we'll be having some challenges with that. Sincerely, I don't know how we're gonna do that. What do we do? I don't know how we're gonna. It's just gonna be difficult. Except I reverse my camera. Do I reverse that? Let me see that. All right. Reverse it. Okay, maybe, okay. This, I think this is fine. All right, great. Can we all see what we have here? Can we see it? Okay, setup wizard. You can see that. Now, the next thing here is just, this is what your machine, the operator comes up. The first question you might get most times is operating standard. Make sure you pick especially for those for us here where we're not going to be installing some extra devices to it. Pick the ZA, that's the South African standard. Alright, so the next thing, you see, it's saying the round button is for exit, and this one, the center button, this oblong button, is to continue. Okay, so now it says setup wizard. Next stage is to accept. Yes. It says, has the gearbox oil be filled with oil? I like this most times. This always reminds you that you need to top. There's a point here where you can fix your oil. You can see this part here. This is where you fix your air. Just remove this. Just remove that battery. See that red cover? Lift this up. You can fix the oil. The oil always comes with a box. When filled with oil, yes, accept. See, note all safety features are disabled. Okay, accept. Is the system correctly wired as per manual? Yes. Then is the origin magnet correctly fitted? Yes. This is the origin magnet, this one. Yes. Says gate motor engaged. That's the one here. The turn, if you want to confirm that, I use this. Okay. Okay, now it's engaged. It can no longer move. Yes. Now I say end stop fitted. End stop are stoppers for the gates. The beginning and the end. You must have stoppers so that your gate does not roll out. Yes. Now I say clear gate area. If I press this, just watch. You see that part starts. The machine starts the process of configuring the gate, trying to check the maximum, the opening limit, the closing limit. It gets to one end. After crossing the magnet, it senses that it returns, crosses again. So it is like should I say, there's a counter in this operator. I've stopped it anyway. So by the time this goes through that whole process, it goes first to the end, one end returns, go back with a faster movement, then it returns again. And when it gets to the other level, then it starts asking if, sorry, okay. So by the time it goes through this process, start asking you, is the magnet fitted? Or after that, it goes to one end, returns to the other side. It moves slowly to this end first. It moves slowly to the other side. By the time it's going back to the other end, it picks its speed, gets to that end with that speed, returns to this one. When it gets to this other way, then it picks up that those distance and tells you the gate is ready. Either if it's open or it's closed, ask that question. The personnel at the side picks, okay, is either open or it's closed, and that's just it. So I think if you can understand the first section that has to do with setting up the area, making sure you check for things you need to look out for, and if those areas are set, are fine, then the next stage I think is a walkthrough. So I think that's all I might need to say for today. But if there are any questions, I think I'll be happy to answer some of any question you might be having concerning this. Anyone with any question there? If there is any, let's just talk about it briefly before we call it a class. Let's call it a class, not a day. Any question? Any question? Okay, not sure there's any. Any question? None. Okay. Well, if there are no questions, I think we might need to call it a day. But you think this class, you're not getting it enough, you'll have, tell us, say he has a question. How do we attach the rack to the gates? Okay. Now, a good question here. When you want to attaching this to the gate, let's assume I'm actually having a plan of, I know it's just going to cost me, right? It's going to cost me. I want to have a kind of like a sample gate, just maybe a gate built to this level, not that bulky, that I can be using for most of my class, but it's just going to cost me getting the weight, getting the metals together, getting the weather, fabricating it, so that some of all these questions you might not need to answer it. What we do most times, sometimes we use angle iron. You see those angle iron? Let's assume, let me show you something. If your angle iron, you know those angle iron cuts like this, and inside you're having it straight. From, let's assume it's an angle iron. I just come one section here, alright? An angle iron here is also bent. I just cut here off. Then I'm having something of this nature, just what to do this stuff. This is like an angle iron, alright? I come to the gate, I fix this here, I weld this one to this, and I weld this other section to the gate. So this one is going to stay like this. We have another one like that. all the way. So that's just the way it is. Okay. How do I attach? Okay. Oh, that's almost the same question they're asking, man. It means I might need to. Ah, man, it's just gonna cost me getting that. Already, I have this that I use for training for persons who were able to have maybe physical classes. But for yours, I need to look for how we do. But like I explained, that's the way you get it done. Just get your angle line, okay, this part off, to wet this section here, wet this section to the gate, attach this part to the gate. So you're having it like that. It is a reverse way, most same way, under, wet here, and wet here. That's all you need to know about attaching the gate, the rack to your gate. You can also get, if you don't have angle iron, you can also get kind of a rod, cut off a rod like this, put the section here, wet here, and wet to the body of the gate. So that's it. How can you plug onto the power using extension? Okay, how can you plug on the power using extension? Or you use some wire? Okay. There's actually a charger here. Let me show you the charger. Let me show you. Yeah. Alright. Let me take that out. Okay, this is the charger for this operator. So this is where your power comes in here. But this is what charges the machine. It comes here. You see, you have your live, neutral, and earth. So it's connected here. Alright. So I think that's for that. Just connect the power there. And the other is that. Yes, you can either power with electricity. Yeah, if you're using electricity, this is the charger does that. This does that. But if you're using solar, it's a matter of you get a charge controller. That I might need to. I can please drop your message. Maybe you chat me on drop a message on YouTube here. Maybe I'll talk so that if you're connecting, I can also show you how you connect to a solar panel. I think I've done that video before. Let's assume these are operator, the battery of our operator. Let's assume this is the battery head of our operator. This is the positive and this is the negative. And let's assume we have a solar panel here. Alright. And if you're using that, all you need to do is to take cable from here. If you have your charge controller, your charge controller has a solar, this is battery, and the last one, load. You know, so this is plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus. So the solar, the positive comes here, this is the plus, this is the minus. The minus comes to this one, then this one from here plus comes to the battery plus, and the minus comes to the minus of your battery, the battery terminal head. That's how you connect it. So if this one charges and it says this one senses is full, the charge controller controls the charging from allowing it to overcharge. Alright, okay, I think that's sorted. Okay. Okay, thank you, sir. You always inspire me. Welcome. You guys are the ones pushing me still. So, we need to put some earth on the ground. So. Okay, talking about, you mean earth rod, right? Earthing this, okay. I didn't talk about your earthing. Where? This terminal is for your earthing. By the time you're fixing your boat to the ground. So this, if you want to talk about that, I might not be able to finish up this class. You are right, the earthing, because there's even a terminal here. This is for the earth. It comes to the charger to avoid the surge from damaging your charger. But if you are using solar, for example, you don't need You don't need all of that for solar, because it's only when you're using the charger, means using AC. That's why you need that. So you can earth it from the air to the ground. So that's just for that. You are right. Yeah, jealous. Thank you. That's why I said we are just talking about it, the caricature with things, some easy people who wants to start off. And I believe when you're starting off, you might need to make some consultation, ask questions where they can show you some other things. Yeah. You haven't answered my second question. Apologies, sir. Mr. Lawan, let me check your question. Okay. Sir, do you have to wear the rack before mounting this? Is the century? Is a centurion, not century. Centurion. No. You cannot fix your rack first. No. If you fix your rack, you might have issues. I am telling you. I have experienced it. I've heard some clients say, fix your rack. How would you fix your rack first? You can't. I know what I'm saying. If you get somewhere, it begins to jump. You can't. The first thing you fix is this operator first before the rack. When you mount this, hold it to the ground, then you start fixing your rack. I hope that question is answered. I hope Mr. Olusegun Matthew Lawa, I hope that question is answered. First, install the operator before fixing. This one, you tighten the bolt. I didn't talk about tightening, but those ones, I know you need to tighten it, but when this is tightened to the ground before you start anything that has to do with the rack. Even while you're fixing your machine, always make sure you check the space between your gates, and because there are some gates that are actually some budges, some goes inside like this, and some areas might be far, so but you must first put and try to measure all of that before you even think of the rack. This one must be fully mounted, the operator. I hope that answers your question. Yes. Oh yes, answer. Yes. Okay. Any other question that I need to answer this afternoon? What? Okay. Salawa, I hope that question is answered. Olusegun Matthew Lawa, hope that question is answered. Yes. Any other questions so that we can call it a class? All right. Well, if there are no further questions, I want to say thank you very much for your time. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be having more of these classes whenever we have time. It's just funny. I couldn't step out today. I've been so tied down, and I don't like just staying without doing anything. I just want to get myself busy with something, right? What transducer? What are you using a transducer for? Please, I need to explain that, Mr. Olusegun Lawa. Transducer for what, sir? Mr. Olusegun? Transducer for what?
Well, I might have to call it a day, right? All right, if you're able to, let me get that clarified, please. Mm. You in Nigeria, if you're in Nigeria, presently, I think this is about six 600 and get this price is 600 and is it 80 or 650,000 right now, just now.
And get this for that price now, 650,000. All right. Okay. I think at this juncture, I want to call it today. Till we meet again, right? Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you all. Thanks for your time. So that the gate is sense. Oh, you are talking of a sensor. You're talking about a sensor. He said, so that the gate we sense if someone is at the middle of the gate. That's a beam, right? Photo beam. Well, for yes, you can say photo beam, but most times with our central operators, we most times we install this without putting that, because this operator has been designed such that immediately it touches anything, it returns. That's the way it's to, this operator, the centurion operator, is designed such that immediately it is moving, it touches any obstacle, instead of it injuring you, touches that obstacle or human being, it will reverse, it will go back. So that's why most I want to fix it. You don't always bother about the beam. The beam, you have those at the one at the left, at the right. But some other operators that maybe does not have that capability, maybe they hit, they just want to keep running through the thing. If there's an obstacle there, it doesn't allow it to close. You try close, but it can open. But if you're trying to close, it doesn't close. That's against crashing somebody else. So that's just that. No, I don't. You don't. Most you don't need that for a central operator. But if you want to install it, there are provision, there are space you can also put it. That's totally up to you. It's there. There's a position for it, but I personally most times, the last time I'll tell you, I need to be sincere with you. The last time I used a beam, it's over 6-7 years ago. I used it for this. But if we're doing a barrier, we have it with our barriers. Yes, because that one coming from the top, we always want to put it there, not it hit someone on the head before you notice you have stuff there, and so that's just it. Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, you're welcome. Sunlight says thanks so much for your time, for your effort. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. Eliza, following Kini. Okay, I like it, sir. Following Kini. Thanks for the knowledge. My Difoge tech mentor. Forever. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a privilege and it's an honor. Thank you so much, guys. To meet again in our next class. Do have a lovely week ahead. Bye for now. Yeah. Mm-hmm.